Now is a wonderful time to talk to you about The Lord of the Rings, okay? Fellowship of the Ring celebrating its 25th anniversary, December 2025. I think the whole year is the 25th anniversary of the release of the first movie. So to celebrate that, the whole trilogy has been back in theaters. Gloria knows Lord of the Rings from stories, and I think we've even seen clips before, but she was a little too young, so she didn't remember a lot of it. And although as she was watching it, it all came back to her.
I'm a ring race from Lord of the Ring race.
For my birthday, we watched Fellowship of the Ring at home, like in the kind of home theater, and I chose the theatrical versions. Okay. I
prefer the theatrical.
It's not to say that every extended scene is rejected by me, just most. When we watched Fellowship, we watched it on this Blu-ray set, this one. This is the one that came out in 2009.
For the first time ever on Blu-ray, the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
This is the 2009 Blu-ray release of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Okay. These are theatricals, and they are a direct HD 1080p presentation of the movies you know and love theatrically. We then went to the theater to see Two Towers. Whenever they re-release these fucking things in theaters, they for some reason it's the extended edition. I don't know why. We have this thing called the theatrical edition. I don't know why.
We can release it in theaters.
But for some reason.
So you don't have to go to the bathroom 4 times.
I mean, I get that like people, like big fans love the extended, like that's a big part of their lives, to make it a 12-hour experience instead of a 9-hour experience. But when it turns Two Towers into a 3-hour and 51-minute movie, that's fine at home. It's fine at home. But I don't think you want to be doing that in a theater. But I took her anyway because I thought it was exciting to go. I'll start by saying when you get to the theater, Peter Jackson's there to greet you.
Hello, everybody.
It's great that you've come to this screening of the Two Towers. Thanks to Warner's and Fathom Entertainment for putting it on. And so it's the Two Towers.
There's sort of a little bit of an introduction by Peter Jackson here. And he's so tired, dude. He's like...
He's in a Zoom call. He's zooming you from his home.
One of the challenges with making a trilogy is that we were able to... The Two Towers is actually this sort of the second movie in the trilogy, and that's why I always wanted to do like a large battle, like a big film of battle. And so we would go down to this quarry down in Metamata, and the second unit was filming there, and I thought, oh gosh, I should probably be there. And it's King Theoden he's just sort of drawing on and doing his he's going on like that forever.
And then I was able to, I set there something up to recover the spine. So that's a memory from Helm's Deep.
I love the dude. I mean, I feel the unnecessary nature of those extended edition scenes acutely in a theater. In Two Towers, as an example, theatrical, right? Boom, we hit the snowy mountainscape, and then we zoom into the Mines of Moria, and the Balrog takes Gandalf, and then he flies down. There's a really cool scene where he's attacking the Balrog on the way through the tunnel, and then Frodo wakes up and goes, Gandalf, and he goes, oh, it's just a dream. And then the theatrical, they do a quick little exposition thing where they're like, we're trying to get to Mordor, and we're using Lambos bread to stay alive. And then the next scene, Frodo's like, we're not alone. And then Gollum shows up, and we're like, we're in it. Not the extended edition. No. In the extended edition, there's like another scene with Sam and Frodo and another scene with Sam and Frodo. And as the movie goes on, Merry and Pippin are drinking some kind of water that's making them tall. It's got nothing to do with anything. I'd even argue that some of the kind of iconic extended edition scenes, like Saruman at the beginning of Return of the King, really weird. At the end of Two Towers, he's getting flooded, but you never see anything happen to him. He just vanishes from the trilogy. In the theatricals, that is really strange. So I get like the need to see him one last time. But you know what they should have just done? Just in Two Towers, he should have just died in the flood.
Right.
I don't know, like the ends shake the shake the tower and he falls out or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kill him in that movie. But I think of like the Mouth of Sauron too. Cool scene, cool character. I understand what it's trying to do narratively. He holds up the mithril vest and is like, Frodo's dead, and now they have to make a leap of faith that Frodo's still out there and he's still alive. But dude, in the theatricals, it's just like they march on the Black Gate. Aragorn says, let the Dark Lord come forth. Let justice be done upon him. The gates swing open and there's the army. That's it.
Yeah. That's it.
It's not just that, oh, good, I don't have to sit here as long. It actually is more powerful from an editing, storytelling perspective. That momentum really matters in a story,
Yeah, you can't just meander forever.
And Peter Jackson was always really clear about like these, the extended edition is not the director's cut. This is not the real version. If only they would let me release them. He was like, no, there's a theatrical version and this is the at-home version. So I feel pretty strongly that it should be theatrical. Okay. The other problem with them being extended edition is there is no version of the extended edition that looks right. This is the problem. There is a version of the theatricals that looks right, and it's this Blu-ray right here. So if you're looking for Frankie's opinion, like, hey, how do you watch Lord of the Rings? Boom. This is the one you want. 2009 theatrical Blu-ray.
Look for it on Blu-ray.
It's 2 cases, and it's got many movies inside of it. Well, just while I'm on that topic and while we're doing a little show and tell here, the first time I ever bought these movies, do you recognize these? Remember these old things?
Yeah, of course.
Right? These were the first ever DVD releases of The Lord of the Rings. And they're all 2 discs, but these are like considered to be kind of the wimpy versions. It's theatrical only. They would have come out like, if the movies came out in December, these would have come out in maybe like April or May or something. And then I think by August of that same year, then the extended edition would come out.
Do you remember the time when they came out? Do you remember the hype of them coming out?
I was a part of it. Yeah, I loved them.
I remember specifically I was in Latin class. I took Latin because I didn't want to take Spanish, so I took Latin because I thought it was cool and ultimately useless. But I was in Latin class, and I remember my friend like turned around. He's like, "Dude, have you heard about the Lord of the Rings?" And I'm like, "No, I don't understand what you're talking about." And he was like, "There's a movie coming out, and it's like The Legend of Zelda or something, and it's like with elves and stuff, and it's like really cool. You should check it out." And I was like, okay. And based on his recommendation, I went to the theater and saw it. And I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like, I was somebody who never really heard of The Hobbit, never heard of any of that stuff. Like, and then when I watched it, I was like, oh, that's where everybody got the idea to put orcs in like role-playing games. Like
my friends were hyped too about Fellowship, and I ran out and saw it, and I was like, oh geez, this is long. It was like the first thing I thought. I would have been 15 years old. It was 25 years ago. When we were in the theater, Gloria's going like, oh, this is going to be really cool. I'm going to get to brag to all my friends that I saw an old movie. She's going. And I'm like, well, fuck. Well, I guess it is because I was 15 and I'm 40 now. And so that makes it an old movie. By the way, if you want your mind blown, get this. Viggo Mortensen was 40 when he played that. 42. Yeah, he was 40 when he shot. 42 when the movies were released. That would make him 67 now. That would mean that Viggo Mortensen is 7 years older than Ian McKellen was when he played Gandalf.
Yeah.
Viggo Mortensen could play Gandalf.
We were Viggo Mortensen's age right now.
Yeah, I don't think I could be like the rugged Viking that he was.
No, he's like
gay cowboy, maybe.
It's such an interesting image of masculinity,
I think for me it was like a formative image of masculinity. I was, because he plays that role with like a gentleness, but also he's got this like there's like a hyper competence to the character, obviously. And I think one of the things I really respond to with those movies is that there's a few characters like Aragorn, like Samwise Gamgee, who are pretty pure of heart, like from beginning to end. Like you're just expecting at some point that, especially in a story about corruption, that these characters are going to fuck up in some major way. And like they kind of don't, from beginning to end.
Sweet.
Yeah, they're just good people. So my friends were hyped. So I go out to the theater and I see it and I'm like, this is really good. But I remember what really walloped me was like the last 10 minutes of Fellowship.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
When it turns into like, Sam is running to the boat and I'm like, oh, well, okay. Like this movie has like a narrative emotional weight to it that I really was not expecting. Cause I love Star Wars and I love, fantasy and stuff. But I was like, I don't think there's any place in the Star Wars trilogy that even has the emotional weight of that scene with Sam and Frodo. Right. Like, and I remember the first, cause I hadn't read the books at that time. I thought for sure that like the story was going to be that Frodo has to go on the journey by himself, and that like he even has to reject his friend Sam, who would be well intentioned, but even Sam has to be rejected. I thought for some reason that's where it was going, and then I was like, oh no, like the narrative is going to allow this, that like the character who's pure of heart, who's not going anywhere, is going to be with him by his side. As I was watching Two Towers, I was also struck by, because you think of Sam as this kind of undying loyalty, pure of heart character who picks his friend up over his shoulders and climbs a mountain in the fires of hell, and it's not about saving the world, it's about saving his friend. It's like this really cool thing. It's what makes the movie so powerful. I was struck by how cruel he was to Gollum. I was like,
let's just tie him up and leave him. No!
This guy is such a good guy. Like and if you go with the addict metaphor that sort of, Gollum is this total junkie and Frodo is this guy who's hooked currently. And he's like
he's got compassion for the junkie because he's.
Yeah. And he has to believe that he'll be okay. So because that believes that he's okay. And I think he would like want Sam to give him that same grace. But Sam's just like, no, like I'm here for you. And this guy ain't here for you. Like he doesn't fall for like the pathetic, sad shtick. I actually think that makes the character even stronger in a way. He puts him down. He like insults him. Sam is waiting the whole time for Frodo to just agree to tie him up and murder him and leave. He's like, I just need you to agree.
We got to do this together. Come on.
I won't do it if you don't want me to do it. But boy, do I want you to want me to do it. So anyway, when I was 16, the movie comes out on DVD, Fellowship, the classic Fellowship, and Nina had it on tape. This was, for me, this was like literally the movie where tapes became DVDs.
Yeah, exactly. I remember getting that DVD, that same one, the widescreen one. And I remember seeing it on a fairly big TV, and it was like a strip in the middle. And I was like, oh, wow, movies should be widescreen at home. Like, this is my first time thinking that. Like, they should be this.
For people who were excited about home theaters in like 2000, The Matrix would have been a big movie for that. For like, get it in widescreen. See how much more image there is.
The DVD of the millennium.
And I do remember like people getting Star Wars in widescreen and that was a big deal. But this was the first time like it was something that I wanted to do. Like this is what the way the movie is supposed to be. I remember seeing that New Zealand landscape in widescreen. I was like, this is awesome. This is amazing.
So I got the DVD and then they had, I think the special features were nothing special. It was like, go inside how 3 films were shot in New Zealand. And then it was like, we really planted real plants here in New Zealand to make Hobbiton.
To get the feet on, it takes, like, you have to stand up for, like, over an hour. So that at 4:30 in the morning is a bit sort of...
It's like a National Geographic thing or something. And then, when it comes to DVDs that were everywhere, you think of The Simpsons, you think of Family Guy, and you probably think of, this line of DVDs. Remember these?
Yeah.
What was so cool, of course, they look like books, which is rad. It looks like this. And what was funny is I bought each of them individually as they were coming out. And then you could send, if you had all 3, you could send away for
the box.
For the box. You could send away for it. Now a lot of people, like when you buy it, they tend to buy it in the box, but you could send away for it. So of course, these were the ones that had 4 discs each, and they had shitloads of, Weta produced making ofs and stuff. And
I watched all of them.
Oh, they're wonderful.
I remember there was one feature where they interviewed like somebody who was a little boy when the Hobbit book came out.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, here's my review of when I was a little boy, like 6 years old, and I read the Hobbit and I made a review. And
it is good and should appeal to all children between the ages of 5 and 9. In those happy days, no second opinion was needed.
I was just like really enchanted by that whole thing where they're really going deep with this special feature.
This is the one where they're carting in giant like avids into a data center, and they're like, for this production, we have 1.5 terabytes of storage. I'm like, holy shit.
Storage, we're getting 1.5 terabytes of storage set up and 6 avids hooked together. Okay. Just gearing up for the biggest thing any of us have ever seen.
I need that much for my streaming, my EJ streams.
Yeah, I think these DVDs probably are responsible for tons of people wanting to be filmmakers because it was like such a great look inside.
So much so, I actually looked to go to college in New Zealand. They had like a media program.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was because of those like DVDs that I was like, oh, I want to like be where the action is in New Zealand.
The film industry apparently, which of course there was no film industry out there. This dude invented it all from scratch.
Yeah.
And reinvented, or invented motion capture as it's used now and all the rest of it. Not to mention they made all 3 of them at once, which seems pedestrian now, but back then it was like New Line Cinema is going to put up hundreds of millions of dollars for like an art director who's never really done major blockbusters to do 3 movies in one of the hardest to adapt shit. And by the way, like, yes, I know it's a big IP, but like, are people going to come out for Lord of the Rings? Maybe because like if you polled the American public, a lot of them probably would have been like, oh, I think I read The Hobbit in middle school, but I don't know about Lord of the Rings, It
wasn't a thing. I
remember, dude, there was like a teaser for Fellowship, like maybe 2 years before it came out. It was a teaser trailer. And all it said, it was just like, we're out here in New Zealand making a movie. We're going to make Lord of the Rings. It just is a little vignette about like, we're out here trying to make these movies. It's going to be interesting.
The technology has caught up with the incredible imagination that Tolkien injected into the story of his. And so this is the time.
But once I saw those, I got really hyped and I rewatched the movie and I was like, oh yeah, I'm like really super into this. And I was dying to see Two Towers. I remember Two Towers, they came out with a trailer that was timed to the Requiem for a Dream music for some reason. My friend Keith was like, oh yeah, the trailer that has the Requiem music. And I was like, no. And he was like, yes. and he was totally right. And it's some completely rearranged, like orchestral, like timpani, because the original Requiem, it's like, you know, it's time to like Helm's Deep footage and stuff. But I was dying to see it. And at the time I drove a 1992 Subaru.
Here's something that will appeal to every inch and ounce of your being. A new front-wheel drive Subaru Legacy L with power windows for your fingers, AM/FM stereo cassette for your ears, comfortable seats for your bum, anti-lock brakes for your feet, inspired engineering for your frontal lobes, and a special price for a good feeling in your gut.
That I bought for $1,200 from some guy. What we did back then. I drove my other friend who was so psyched about Lord of the Rings. We started playing D&D and we didn't even like D&D. It was just like a way to play, you know, to enjoy Lord of the Rings. I drove out to Seekonk.
Pieces of the former Showcase cinemas off Route 6 now scattered around the Seekonk Square parking lot as crews demolish the once popular theater.
And my car broke down about a half a mile away from the theater. And the movie was going to play in about 10 minutes. And we just like put it in neutral and got it in some gas station. And we leapt out of my car and we ran to the theater. I was like, I don't know. I'm 16. I don't know what I'm going to do about that car. I don't care right now. I remember we were totally out of breath and we sat down in a packed theater. Back then you didn't get your tickets in advance. You bought it at the box office and you found a seat. And there were no seats. So we had to sit in the very, very front. And like, so I'm like sitting way back. And that's when it was like, boom. And you see the giant mountainscapes. And for 3+ hours, I sat there. Rohan, Edoras, Battle of Helm's Deep.
The Battle of Helm's Deep is like a religious experience. Like, seriously.
I'm crying the whole time and shit. There's some of those shots that completely took my breath away. You know that shot it's a tracking shot behind Theoden as he's going down the ramp, and it's like basically all of them riding out to their deaths because they've been overwhelmed by the orcs, followed by Gandalf, who, you know, shows up at the top.
Yeah.
And then they cut out to that monumentous shot of all these horses basically falling down a hill at the enemy.
Yeah.
And then cutting to the trees that, you know, last march of the end. So I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever seen. This is so good. And then Return of the King was like a totally, that completely murdered me.
Yeah, those movies are miracles. Miracles.
Yeah. Peter Jackson recently said, he was like, well, I do have like one idea that we could do. He's like, we have a ton of footage of like Arwen shows up to Helm's Deep. Aragorn fights Sauron in the battle at the end, physically fights Sauron. All these stupid decisions that we made, all these additional scenes that got reworked. He was like, it would be cool to make a making of that constructs all this footage you've never seen before and like really give you a sense for like what it was, you know, a really long kind of Peter Jackson-esque streaming documentary about the whole experience. I was like, have we not seen enough behind the scenes footage of these movies? So I'll say this too. If you want to watch the extended editions, if that's important to you, there's still a best way to do that. And it's these DVDs. It's these DVDs. And you might say, well, what about the Blu-ray? In 2011, 2 years later, they released the gold box here, this Blu-ray.
The Lord of the Rings Trilogy Extended Edition. Look for it on Blu-ray.
This is the extended edition. And to the naked eye, this is just those DVDs in Blu-ray. In fact, it's got all of the special edition DVD special features that you love, know and love. So it's, you know, it's cool and everything, you know. But do you see on screen right now, do you notice that there's a green tint?
Yeah. It's green.
Well, that's not just for the box.
It's for the movie?
The movies have a strong green tint to them. You're looking, EJ, at the very worst, most unacceptable way to watch Lord of the Rings. This box right here. This sucks ass. Don't watch this. This blows. You're way better off with the DVDs, okay? I'm not trying to be cute. This is just true.
This is the era when they start just messing with shit. Like, I remember the Star Wars Blu-rays. I know they're like special editions and stuff, but they started putting the magenta tint in that. They start fucking with stuff.
I'll take a small intermission to say I did buy the movies yet again after I bought the special edition, the 4-disc DVDs. They came out with these. Right, and of course there's been a million other releases and stuff, but the reason I bought these are 2-disc, and they're cool. They've got these kind of like almost like photographs, and it's always nice packaging, no matter what. Like you always get something nice. These have feature-length documentaries about the making of the movies with blog footage you've never seen. These have they're like inside looks where it's more fly on the wall. It's actually,
interesting.
Nobody talks about these, but these are very interesting.
Huh.
For instance, there's footage of Peter Jackson on the phone, pissed off about like a prop that didn't come through. He's like pissed off on the phone, and you get some of that.
So can you just prepare me a memo to the art department, please? Can the memo just say that Peter wants to see designs and sketches of all hand props before they appear on set?
Absolutely.
And that Boromir's bag that was presented to me today is rejected as a piece of design.
Boromir's bag?
Boromir's bag is rejected as a piece of design. I don't like it.
Okay.
And that Boromir will need a bag within the next 2 or 3 days, I guess, so that they better come up with some ideas.
And then, another off topic, I remember somebody got me the Return of the King album or like CD or something. And that came with a DVD that was like an in-depth, like basically Howard Shore's whole blog of how he put together all the music. And it was more than just like a DVD special feature. It was like an in-depth, it was like, how they worked with the boys choir for like the scene with Gandalf and the light. And so there's like a lot of stuff out there that you can watch that, somebody should put it all on YouTube.
That's really strong.
So then 2019 comes along, 2020, and they say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to release a UHD Blu-ray. Now, this is going to be much better than that last one. Sorry about that last one. They don't say that, but they're saying that. This is going to be supervised by the man himself.
Oh, no.
At the time, they were saying, we're going to go back and rescan the film in 4K. They did not do that.
Fun to have all the toys now, which I didn't have all this stuff to play with in the old days.
So I hear. There's a great video, I've mentioned it before, about how there's no proper remaster of the extended edition. And the guy makes I love the video. I've seen it a million times. He makes so many good points. He's like, well, a lot of video essays and clips and references and memes, they come from the fucking green tint version.
So pop culture has largely celebrated and preserved a defective product. Screenshots have a green tint, memes have a green tint, video essays have a green tint.
Oh, interesting.
Like a lot of the culture around the visuals of Lord of the Rings online come from this fucking green tint version. Because a lot of people grab from the extended because they're like, oh, the extended Blu-ray. That's the best way to watch Lord of the Rings. It's like, that's one of the worst ways.
Very interesting. I wouldn't even thought of that.
So they released the extended edition on UHD Blu-ray. It looks a lot better than the gold box, okay? Particularly like the shots of helicopter shots of Gimli, Legolas, and Aragorn running, and anything that's like natural light, natural daylight, landscape shots. But first of all, you got a problem with you've got digital effects that were probably rendered in 1080 or less. And they're having to upsample that stuff.
The imperfections of the visual effects started to show.
They didn't re-render anything. So they didn't go back and re-render any of the effects.
So we got the opportunity to go back and to remove and paint out any imperfections. Yeah, that looks great.
I don't think they rescanned the film. They added a whole lot of purple. There's a lot of purple.
It's always the magenta, the purple, yeah.
And this was before anybody really hated AI, but there's a lot of face motion smoothing. There's quite a bit of that. There's a lot of trying to knock out the grain.
Why are we doing that?
When I was a boy, they showed these things in 35 millimeter film. I saw Two Towers 7 times, and I saw Return of the King 6. My 7th time was in 2000. It would have been 2003. It was in East Pawtucket.
East Providence police are investigating a theater threat that prompted an evacuation. It happened last night at the Patriot 10 Cinemas on Newport Avenue. Carl Butler came under suspicion when moviegoers heard him muttering about bringing a gun to the theater. Police cleared the building to search, but there's no word if anything was found. He's been charged with disorderly conduct.
And just now I saw it for the 8th time. I was like, oh, that's my 8th time seeing that movie in the theaters. I say all of this to come to the moment where I say, when you go to the theater to watch the re-releases in theaters, it's that UHD version. The one that came out in 2020. Yeah. And they did it in part so they could put it back in theaters, I think, because on digital projectors, you're going to need 4K.
So when you go to the theater, they're just putting in a Blu-ray, basically.
They put in a Blu-ray you could buy for your house. Which to me, especially when you're sitting around in those fucking sofas, and I'm like, what is this crap? If you projected it in 35 millimeter at the Alamo Drafthouse, I'll go running there. That sounds wonderful. It sounds like a wonderful night at the movies. There's other problems too, man. Like, again, this guy who did this video, he did a great job explaining all the issues. But one of the issues is they actually did do some digital remastering. Like there are wide shots where you could clearly tell that the stand-in for Frodo is wearing like a freaky Elijah Wood mask. And they did do a face swap on those because in UHD it was just way too obvious, and in lower resolution you could get away with it. But I think the most egregious one is whenever there's a flashback or a dream, they put a ghosting effect, like a white ghosting effect around the perimeter of the frame, and they desaturated the color completely. So, for example, do you remember the scene in Two Towers when Liv Tyler is imagining being at Aragorn's funeral and it's zooming out and it's showing the passage of time? That's supposed to be in color. It's basically not in color in the UHD version. And they add this white shit to be like, we're in a dream right now, as if you don't know. The theory is that the reason they did that was because in the Hobbit trilogy, that's the way they handled flashbacks. And so and Peter Jackson said that. He's like, oh, I'm trying to make it so that when you watch The Hobbit and you watch Lord of the Rings, it looks consistent.
Make them look and sound consistent. From the first movie, which in the story terms is an unexpected journey, right the way through the 6th to Return of the King, they now feel like it's one big long film telling the same story and looking and sounding the same.
So not an ideal experience. I'm complaining a little much because the sound is great and there's a lot on screen. These are wonderful movies, but I don't know, man. I'm like, I think I'd be better off at home with my good old, these ones right here.
Yeah, it seems so. We talk about all this face smoothing and getting out film grain. Remember when we were in at least grad school, we had all this digital footage and we were trying to add film grain to digital footage to make it look like more like a movie.
Texture.
It's just so weird that these filmmakers are now going back to their project and removing it.
I mean, I think one of the most special things about that, maybe not the most, but something that really gives these movies characters that they're shot in 35, because anything that big scope with that much spectacle, people aren't shooting those in 35.
We've said the Phantom Menace, of that prequel trilogy looks better and stands the test of time because it's been shot in 35 millimeter.
There's a few other things just to mention here. One is I wanted to say way back in the day, the Boston Museum of Science had the Lord of the Rings exhibit, and it had the wax Boromir and it had miniatures. Incredible. I got to go with Nina, in 2003. That was a very fun experience. I would love if they would bring something like that back, because otherwise you got to go all the way to Hobbiton in New Zealand. Who wants to do that? I was laughing because I was watching Fellowship, and the famous we've had one, yes, but what about second breakfast scene with Pippin? There's a shot right before that. Aragorn turns around to the 4 hobbits. I think what they're doing is they were taking out their pots and pans and getting ready to make breakfast. But just for the sake of comedy, imagine that they were going to try to do something with that horse or that pony, because they're suddenly descending upon the pony. They're going to start making breakfast out of the pony. There's something, they're about to go down on that pony or something. There's something going on there. Gloria said, she was like, hey, Dad, is this a road trip movie? And I was like, yeah, I guess so. And she was like, well, how come there's not a scene then where they go to a biker bar and they accidentally knock over all the bikers' motorcycles? I was like, oh my God, is that in every road trip movie? Every road trip movie.
Those assholes got balls.
Let him go. Put him in my mouth. Chew on!
She said something. She was like, I think that Gollum is on drugs and he's depressed that he's on drugs. But the drugs give him like a little bit of strength and make him forget about his problems, even though they're the cause of his problems in the first place. She just kind of like spit that out at me in the middle of the theater. And I was like,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, man.
And she was like, Legolas is kind of hot. She tells me.
We all
and
thought
I was
that.
like, oh, you would have fit right in back in the 2000s.
We were all Orlando Bloomin'.
I love it. I love it. Have you got a picture of that? That's fantastic.
Yes.
I've got to get this on video.
Another question. There's a scene in Two Towers where Faramir sees Boromir's body washed up in the canoe. And he's like, oh, that's how I know he's dead. He's right there. He's like, I happen to know that Boromir's dead. And he like, now maybe it's a dream or a hallucination or something, but he sees him. And I'm going like, how can he see him? I thought that Boromir went over the drink. Yeah. There's that big wide shot in the first movie where he
right, yeah.
wastefully goes to his death. There's also an extended edition scene in Two Towers where it's just focused on how shitty Éowyn's cooking is. There's a whole scene about like where she's walking around with soup with all the refugees, and then she feeds it to Aragorn, who has no comedy scenes in all of the movies, and he tries a little, and he's like, "It's okay." Like he hates it. And the whole point is that like she's into him and he's not into her. And is it because of the shitty cooking?
Yeah. Well, I mean, come on.
The movies were shot by a DP named Andrew Lesney, who was like the longtime director of photography for Peter Jackson. And that dude died 2015, like very unexpectedly. So really not very long after The Hobbit, which he had shot. And Peter Jackson said, he was like, I haven't made a drama film in 12 years. And he's like, and I think probably the reason is because my DP died. He's like, it really kind of shook me. And
yeah, I can see that.
Made me feel like I couldn't like make another movie with some other DP. I'd have to establish some new relationship. And he's like, so I've just been like making documentaries at home, like with digital effects. Like
that's sad.
That sucks.
I can see it. Yeah, absolutely. When you're just like, it's even when we work together, it's like, if you're just starting anew with a new relationship, it's tough.
Yeah, you'd like wouldn't be inclined. You'd be like, well, maybe there's something else I could be doing. There's a Disney Channel, not Disney Channel, Disney Plus show that Gloria watches called Kif, and they have an episode called Lord of the Ring Light. And you know what? It's pretty damn funny. It's pretty funny. It's a big parody of Lord of the Rings, and it's the whole idea is that it's a bunch of kids who want to be influencers, and one of them has this ring light, and it's all about like what people will say on social media, and it's I recommend
clever.
Lord of the Ring Light.
The way Helen is coveting that ring light is pretty weird.
Not to be confused with Lord of the Cock Ring with Jack Black.
Okay, fine. I'm taking it off. Jeez Louise.
Oh, just another final thought here. Two Towers is my favorite of the three. And that was something else I wanted to say too, is I think that one of the mistakes people make is they binge all three movies in one day. And then they're like, oh, I'll do extended edition, because they're in for a penny, in for a pound. So like 9 hours, 12 hours, I'm in it for the day. I'm binging them all. I don't look at Lord of the Rings that way.
No.
I look at them as three movies. Now, yes, they're part of an entertainment experience altogether, right? And it's hard to pick one over the other or whatever. They're all parts of a whole. Fellowship has a flavor, and Two Towers has a flavor, and Return of the King has a flavor. The writers and the director, like they went through pains to make sure that because you were going to go out to a theater and watch it and just that movie, they made sure that there was a beginning, a middle, and end, and that there was an arc for each character, and that they work as discrete movies. So maybe that's part of why I defend the whole idea of the theatricals,
Yeah, I agree completely. I remember when I was a kid and I had all three of the extended editions. I thought it would be a fun idea to invite my friend over and we'd watch all of them. I thought it was miserable watching all of them, all the extendeds back to back. I remember we got to Return of the King and we were just like, we started putting a double speed. We're just like, fuck it.
I think like the way to appreciate and honor the movies and love the movies is like tonight we're going to watch Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing.
I think so.
And then like in a week we're going to watch Two Towers, and they kind of savor it. But I was just going to say, I think that Rohan is one of the reasons that Two Towers, it's in many ways defined by the Rohan. And I was like, isn't it incredible that, Edoras, the little village there that's on the mountain, that they fucking just built that like in the middle of the mountains and they shot there. It's such it lends so much credibility to the movie that we're in the middle of the mountains, that it's a windy day that we're shooting on, that there's like this king that is in this kind of impoverished town and the wind is hitting his hair. It really adds to like the artistry of the thing that it's on location, you know? And sometimes they're shooting handheld shots, like, you know, through the village, but it's a big camera, so it doesn't feel like it's chaotic.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, it's a miracle that this exists.
It's like those movies are the perfect intersection between the kind of art films, auteur-driven films of the 90s and 2000s and what would become the big spectacle blockbusters of the later 2000s. You know, even with everything he's done, I don't feel like Peter Jackson at the end of the day is a blockbuster filmmaker, even though he reinvented blockbuster filmmaking. I don't think he's in it for like, I hope to direct a Marvel film. I think it's more like he was like, I wonder if I could make Lord of the Rings. I think it was like, it was an artistic pursuit.
Absolutely.
And everybody's so in it. They're so in it. They believe in it.
Perfectly cast. Everybody, is giving it its all. Christopher Lee, my God.
Yeah.
The famous phrase, Ashnaz Gurbatuluk, Ashnaz Grimpatul, Ashnaz Rakataluk, Akburzanishi Kimpatul.
You know, the perfect Gandalf, the perfect Aragorn, the perfect Legolas. It's just like, you go down the line. Even Liv Tyler is awesome in it, too.
Actually works,
like,
I don't think there's any greater film achievement. Except for maybe Sinners, that just got nominated for 1 million Academy Awards.
Wunmi Mosaku in Sinners.
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 And Sinners. Delroy Lindo in Sinners.
Sinners.
And Sinners.
I Lied to You from Sinners.
And Sinners. Sinners.
And Sinners.
Sinners.
Michael B. Jordan in Sinners. And Ryan Coogler.
Sinners.
What a fucking mid-movie.
And they lynched him right there in the railroad station. You know they cut off the man good.
Maybe I'll see you at Return of the King. Maybe I won't.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.